Get cool stuff for what you were going to do anyway. Drink beer. With Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, you can just snap a photo of your receipt and upload it to the website to rack up points for exclusive merch. Get points for every purchase, whether you're grabbing a pint on draft, a case for a party, or a tall boy at the stadium. Any size, any product, anywhere you buy Labatt. Buy beer, get gear. Sign up now at rewards.labattusa.com.
Now, stand back for your own safety.
Steve, what's up?
Congrats on the win.
Thanks, Steve. Where Paulie at?
Here we go.
I'm checking out. I will respond to you, but I'm done for the week. I'm done. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. So, my apologies for being late.
I made it.
Yeah, well, good for you. Good for you. Good for you. Good for you.
Check for sound.
Pleasure to be on there talking with Paulie, man. He's a good dude.
I'm an idiot.
I'll just shut up and let you talk. I was trying to help.
And shout out to Tupac.
3, 2, 1, and
This is Orange Nation.
Well, hello, Paulie and Steve.
With Stephen Fonte and Paulie Sibilia.
Check.
Welcome in to Orange Nation. No Stephen Fonte, no Paulie Sibilia today as we bring you in on a Monday, fresh off the win over Colgate. Steve, we knew, was always going to miss the show today. It's Tim Leonard and Mario Sacco with you. Paulie, unfortunately, not feeling well, so we hope that he's all good, but we'll do our best to fill in for them, Mario. Hopefully, we won't be arguing as much as a typical Stephen Paulie show.
Yeah, none of that out of us. We had a good time on Saturday. Watched a little boxing action. But,
yeah.
More importantly, SU got a win on Friday night and a convincing win. And, led by Steve Angeli, throwing for 382 yards. And I literally just got done interviewing the quarterbacks coach, Nunzio Campanelli. And he had a couple interesting things to say about, the battle and how he's grown as a quarterback here in just such a short period of time.
Yeah, we're already at a quarterback leading the nation in passing yards for Syracuse. Once again, it didn't take long. Steve Angeli, after there was some chatter of why did he finish the game against UConn? Why didn't he get pulled? He was very, very good, as expected, against Colgate. Good to see the Orange look the part. So we'll chat with Mike McAllister at 12:30, as always. A McAllister Monday. We'll bring him on, get his thoughts on the Colgate game and other takeaways from the first 3 weeks of the Orange football season. And then we will have Fran Brown's live press conference, as always, right at 1 o'clock. You can always watch those on QSportsTalk.com, on our YouTube page, Q Sports Talk as well. And if you're listening in the car, you can count on that as well every Monday, 1 p.m. So it'll be interesting to see what Fran has to say as now we shift our attention a little bit towards Clemson. A lot to get into on other results from the college football weekend. Clemson went down. Did not think that Clemson would be 1-2 at the start of the season when we looked at that game in week 4. And I'm sure there's mixed feelings on what to make of how Clemson has looked and Syracuse getting Clemson off of a tough loss to Georgia Tech. But as far as the Orange, I was just happy to see that they did look the part against Colgate and made some strides for sure compared to week 2.
Yeah, obviously there's still things to build on, but those strides that you're seeing offensively and the strides you're seeing with Angeli just be more comfortable in the offense. And, okay, for those first 6 quarters that he played quarterback for SU have looked nothing like these last 6, that he's played. So that's what you want to see, him getting more comfortable with this offense, and he's finding a rapport with these wide receivers. Justice Ross Simmons, it took maybe a little bit to get used to. You saw Jonte Cook in game 1. That was the go-to guy. Now you're seeing the guys that have been here in a Darryl Gill, in a Justice Ross Simmons, kind of step up and take over, and that's what you want to see, build that rapport because, as you mentioned, what do you got coming down the stretch right now? Here you got Clemson, SMU, and a Duke team that just lost to Tulane.
Yeah, Duke's going to be obviously a big game in 2 weeks' time, and it sounds like that is going to be a sellout, or at least it's trending that way.
Trending
because,
close to it, yep.
Yeah, Parents' Weekend is always one of the biggest crowds of the year. So I think it's going to be interesting just how well they hold up against Clemson this week. And the line is out there. We can get into it at some point. I was a little surprised to see just how much.
Touchdowns.
Yeah, I think it's 17 and a half. It's depending on where you look, it's 16 to 19 points about. So
I'm interested to hear what the callers have to say. Like, do you see Steve Angeli taking strides like I do? Because, I look back at that game, and I've watched it a couple of times now. I have a cut video for Orange Nation, and his first 2 throws could have been picked off, and that could have been a completely different start to that game. But he settled in, and some of the throws that he made, with a safety coming over the top and having to squeeze it into a tight window, he made. And those were the throws time and time again Kyle McCord made last year to keep this offense moving. Now, if you have, question marks coming into this week against Clemson, it would have to be maybe the running game, offensive line. Weatherspoon was nicked up a little bit in the game against Colgate. Those are the questions that you got. To me, I don't think you can drop back and throw it 50 times against the Clemson team. You might have to throw it 50 times to try and move the ball on them, but you need to sustain a little, momentum drives against this Clemson team, and you're not going to wear them down. Their defense is still very good. They lost to Georgia Tech 24-21 on a last-second field goal. So.
Offense has been their issue more than defense, though.
Cade Klubnik was supposed to be the preseason player of the year, besides obviously Haynes King. But, they haven't been able to, for whatever it is, they haven't been able to score. And that's playing good teams. Take out the Troy game because, they almost lost to Troy. But, you're playing a top probably 20 defense in LSU and Georgia Tech in those 2 other games.
Yeah, LSU had 5 interceptions against Florida this weekend, so they look like they are the real deal defensively. I'm with you. I think we can kind of stop with the narrative of maybe they're going to run the ball more this year. It just feels like we're going to see the same offense, right?
And that's one of the first questions I had to Nunzio Campanelli today was, okay, last year he had a guy in Kyle McCord, and you knew Kyle McCord was going to be the quarterback. No questions. You knew the offense that you were molding around Kyle McCord last year because of the arsenal that he had. That Kyle, and I said, have you changed the offense this year? And he said, no, not really. What makes this team, like a well-oiled machine is, Steve has stepped right in and can run the system that, now in year 2 under Jeff Nixon. And I found that very, telling that coming into April, Ricky Collins was your starting quarterback, and now Steve Angeli is your quarterback, 4 or 5 months later? Math is not a strong suit right now. But they haven't shifted the offense at all. It's still the same. Well,
I think they would have if Ricky was the quarterback, right? And we saw when Ricky came in for a handful of series. That first series in particular, he was rolling out. They were getting him outside
trying to get him outside the pocket and use his legs to either run or throw. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they understand Steve Angeli's skill set is similar enough to Kyle McCord, and really, we've said it all along. If they give him time to throw the football, I think we feel good about Steve Angeli. And, of course, he got time against Colgate, and that was the first game where he wasn't sacked. They took 9 sacks in the first 2 weeks of the season, and they saw a lot of blitzing. Again, from Colgate, they've seen a lot of blitzing from UConn. Yep. I think Tom Allen, the new defensive coordinator at Clemson, it's just going to be fascinating because Clemson does have a tremendous defensive line.
Yeah, and they always do.
Yeah.
All you got to do is look in the NFL, and every single one on a Sunday night game, there's one of them saying Clemson. So
yeah, and you bring up Demetrius Weatherspoon. I think it was Justice Ross Simmons and Weatherspoon were the two kind of concerns injury-wise. Fran already said in his post-game presser, and I was down on the sideline, Justice Ross Simmons, clearly his finger was bent quite a bit on one of the plays early on in the first quarter. Fran already said he'll be all good. It was just a finger for him. So I don't imagine that JRS will be out. And then Demetrius Weatherspoon, I was keeping a close eye on him because that's kind of my job when I'm down there on the sideline.
Sideline reporter, have a little.
Once they go in the medical tent, I'm just hanging by the medical tent, lurking around. And once he came out of the medical tent, he warmed up a couple times with some other offensive linemen, almost to mock test himself. And he put on his helmet. He seemed to be moving fine. I think there was just no reason to bring him back into the game if he's banged up at all. It was well out of reach at that point. We're talking third quarter. So I'm sure Fran will get asked about Demetrius Weatherspoon at 1 o'clock. I'm interested to hear his answer like everyone else. but I do feel like they got out of that Colgate game for the most part pretty healthy, which is always the thing you're talking about when you're playing a team like Colgate.
We talked about the offense making strides and scoring points finally. They hadn't scored points in the first quarter in the first 2 games, and then finally, scored points. I get it. It was against Colgate, and we can continue to say that over and over again. But they did the job. They scored points in the first quarter, jumped out to a big halftime lead. What did you see defensively? Did you see strides defensively out of them? Because when you look at coming into the game, you're like, you want them to, rack up 3-4 sacks in the game, 3 turnovers in the game. And, realistically, they really didn't get after the quarterback. And Colgate did score their points in the second half. But, how would you break down the defensive performance?
So I think the thing that's getting lost when we talk about the defense is, yes, they gave up 24 points, but that was for the most part when the backups were in there. I mean, they played a ton of different guys in this game, and some of the deeper options at corner, I thought, didn't play as well as maybe you'd like.
Yeah, both touchdown passes were,
Yeah, and those were guys like Caleb Singleton getting his first run, or Davion Kerr. Different players were out there. So I think Fran is probably not thrilled with how the defense looked in the second half, but also when you really take into account the whole defense here, I know statistically they do not look good defensively, and they're not getting to the quarterback as much as you'd like, but they didn't allow a touchdown in the second half to UConn. They didn't allow a touchdown in the first half to Colgate. Tennessee in the second half, they really played pretty well defensively, and Tennessee put up 41 points and could have been more against Georgia. So
it's probably a top 5 defense in the country.
Yeah, exactly. If they had made a field goal at the end of the game, they beat Georgia for the first time in forever. So I think you have to feel almost better. I know UConn lost, and people are probably overreacting to their loss to Dartmouth, but you have to feel almost better about the defense after this past week.
How dare you call Dartmouth? It was Delaware.
Was it Delaware?
The Blue Hen alum are going to come after you. I'm joking with you.
That actually summarizes it perfectly. I didn't even know who it was. I knew it was a tough loss. Yeah. Well, Delaware, they run a good program. That's a little better than Dartmouth.
I'm joking with you.
Yeah. So I know that there's some good and bad other results, and this is what we do when it's week 4. Yeah. We're trying to make sense of how good these wins look and how bad losses look around the country.
All you got to do is listen to Brian Kelly's press conference and going off on a reporter for asking what was a reasonable question, like, why is your offense not doing anything? Like, yeah, we have a radio show to talk for 2 hours about SU football. But defensively for me, like, I don't think that's not Elijah Robinson's system of, like, yes, you want sacks, but, like, I think it's more of a
I don't think we'll ever be that. I don't think under him.
You're not going to be a top, I don't even think you're going to be a top 10 team in the league in sacks with, let's face it, like David Reese probably is your only guy to attack the quarterback that when you look at that position.
Yeah, he's your pass rusher for sure. And I think they're a little thin in terms of what they have defensive line-wise at getting after the passer. So, yeah, I think there's still concerns about the defense. The corners, I thought Demetrius Samuel obviously had a nice game. And I'm not just saying that because he made a pretty easy interception. It was kind of a gift.
Jump ball right to him. Catch the ball. Yeah.
And he did some cool, like, it's a cool stat sheet when you factor in he played 5 offensive snaps and caught a pass and returned a punt and showcased his versatility. I'm saying that more from he just didn't seem to get beat a lot, and he shouldn't against Colgate.
And that's what I want to see from him.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about it. Is he going to be a two-way player? I want to see him master that cornerback position. I know he's 17 years old, and master is a strong word to use at 17 years old, but because let's face it, teams are going to go after him. Like we saw it against Tennessee. Tennessee went after him. Like the long touchdown was his main primary guy. There was no over the top help that came, but you're going to see it probably this week. Clemson, try and attack him early on to see what he's made of.
Are you worried at all on the quarterback play that coming off UConn, maybe the fan base was too down on Steve Angeli, even though he did have the nice comeback, and now maybe the fan base is too high on Steve Angeli, if that's possible, based on going against Colgate? I mean, I think the concern is still, will the offensive line protect him well enough going forward? But obviously he looked very, very good. Now I feel like first in the nation in passing yards, people are really optimistic about Steve Angeli all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's either up here or down here. And, it was like, Eric Dungy and Tommy DeVito. And I know Matt Park said there's no comparison as far as, but, calling for the other quarterback. But for me, he's going into an environment. An environment down in Atlanta is going to be nothing like it's going to be in Death Valley at Clemson. I get it. It's a noon game, but there's still going to be 80,000 people in there, and you're not going to be able to hear anything. What he does in that first quarter against Clemson is going to be a telltale sign of how the game, to me, is going to play out. Because, you jump down early, I don't think you're going to be able to rally the troops like you did against UConn. Can he get protection is another thing. Will we see Willis back in the backfield? Because let's be honest, Will Nixon's a great story, and he had that nice draw run against Colgate, but you need a guy like Willis that can pound you and grind you, that could shed off that first tackle and pick you up, if it be 3 yards, if it be 2 yards, so you're not playing behind the sticks against a Clemson team that, as you mentioned, Tom Allen is probably going to pin his ears back and start firing guys at you.
Yeah, I think Will Nixon is a very nice third down back, but he would complement as the second running back nicely with Yasin Willis. And I would expect him to be back as well. I just feel like him and Devin Grant were probably held out of the Colgate game with hopes that they would be back.
Touch on Devin Grant, I think he's a key piece defensively in that secondary going against this Clemson team. An experienced guy back there that has been in the fire a little bit, so to say, that you can rely on.
Yeah, and we can hit a timeout here, but I was just thinking the other day, I ranked on my show the top 5 SU football players, and I think I had Yasin Willis 1, Devin Grant 2, Jonte Cook 3. All 3 of those guys have been banged up to this point. Willis has missed a game, Grant has missed 2 games, Cook has really not been 100%. So hopefully the team can get healthier, and I think they understood that it was Colgate, now it's Clemson, so they held some guys out. 315-437-7644 is the phone number to call if you want to chime in. If you have thoughts from the Colgate game, we'll hit our first time out. We've got Mike McAllister at 12:30 and Fran Brown's live press conference to come at the top of the hour. Tim and Mario filling in for Steve and Paulie today on Orange Nation on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio.
Point Guard Advisors and Verdict for...
One segment down, Tim.
Yes.
One segment down.
As Paulie always says, all right, Steve, we got through our first segment. It's like, it's Monday after a game. I hope you could get through.
We crack some of those hard iced teas.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if they're full, actually. Never really messed with those. Then we could make this show really interesting. Noon on a Monday.
Spice this up.
Gavendo, Steve was already missing the show for work, and then Paulie is unfortunately under the weather. So
Steve is actually out all day today from News Channel 9 and here.
Yeah, Tennessee definitely should have beat Georgia. They pretty much did if their kicker just made a
wasn't
43.
even close.
Oh, yeah, it was tough. Then he made the one in overtime, and he made a kick early in the fourth quarter.
It was a complete shank.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched because I was like, I need to flip over to record the SU men's soccer game.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it's going to have to wait. I'll roll back on that. It was like I'm watching the end of this one because we only have 2 recording TVs in the office that I can screen grab off of.
Yeah.
And I need to record the Syracuse Mets game.
Duke could be 1-3. I mean, they got NC State this week. I
think Tulane's actually pretty good.
They are, yeah. But that's tough for them. You steal their quarterback and they still beat you.
Still get beat.
Yeah, I think Duke's or Tulane's running back was a Duke commit too, who flipped to Tulane.
That stadium looked rocking.
Yeah, they were pumped up.
Because didn't they used to play in the Superdome?
I think they occasionally would play there. Was it all games? I don't know, but
I don't remember them playing on campus.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But that definitely was I can't admit to watching a lot of Tulane football, but that definitely was a big crowd.
Green wave action?
Yeah.
They still in the AAC or whatever it's called?
Why do I feel like they're Sun Belt? Let's see. They're like a good group of 5 team, though. I mean,
aren't they in with who are?
I think they're Sun Belt. Yeah.
No, AAC.
AAC? Okay.
Yeah. They got Ole Miss this week.
Oh, wow. I think Ole Miss went to their backup QB and still won this past week. Vandy Tulane for the Natty. I think Lenora Sellers got...
He's got dinged up.
Hopefully he's all right. Weird start. Very open Heisman race, very open... Just
like what
national title.
National,
yeah. I mean, Arch Manning looks terrible. So everyone was giving the Heisman to him and Cade Klubnik, and they're not even on the ballot right now.
Who's the Vandy quarterback? Pava or whatever.
Pavia, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know who you would say through these first.
Yeah.
Oregon quarterback.
Jeez. Yeah, but they haven't played anyone, right? Yeah, he's looked good though. Dante Moore.
They look really good. Though.
Yeah,
like
Trevor Pena got his first TD,
beating the crap out of everyone.
Have you seen so UCLA fired their coach? You saw that?
Yeah, and then Pryor got fired it.
Yeah,
Pry.
We could talk.
Not Pryor. Pry.
Pry. Yeah, Brent Pry.
Yeah, we can touch on that.
Yeah, but the UCLA schedule is
what is he owed?
Oh, I don't know. It's only year 2 for him.
$6 million.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing he's got to be owed.
Yeah. I mean, he's been ever since the intro press conference. You remember that? Deshaun Foster. Yeah, he's been. But they legitimately aren't going to win a game.
I don't see why.
Oh, Gio, that's big news. Gio's out there. He was like, Brent Prime mention wasn't on my bingo card. This is ACC country, Gio. We're going to bring that up. We don't have an artist of the day. Paulie's going to hate me.
The hokey novelist.
ESPN 97.7 and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. This is Orange Nation.
Rolling along with Orange Nation. Welcome back in. Tim Leonard, Mario Sacco filling in for Stephen Paulie on this Monday. Paulie's going to hate me, Mario, because I don't even know who they picked for the artist of the day. I was scrambling to get everything ready. Usually, Paulie is the one who pulls the songs. I realized as you were coming in late, it was like 11:50. That
I was just hoping to get here in time.
Yeah, I was just hoping to start the show, honestly. And unfortunately, I did not have time to pull the artist of the day song. So we'll have to just, whatever they picked Friday, maybe someone in the chat can remind us. That'll be the artist of the day tomorrow. And we'll rely on his lovely bumps that he's very proud of that we never use. So
I'm liking them so far.
Yeah. All right, well, the phone lines are open. We'll have Mike McAllister join us in about 10 minutes or so. 315-437-7644 is the phone number to call. Let's go to the phone lines for the first time this week, and we've got Mark in New York City. What's up, Mark?
Hey, guys. Hey, Tim. Hey, Mario. Looking forward to this Clemson game this weekend. You know, I've been looking at some of Clemson's recent losses, and it seems a common theme to Clemson losing a lot is a dual threat quarterback. I'm looking at some of their past losses. You know, you guys mentioned Lenora Sellers at the break. Lenora Sellers ran for 166 rushing yards last year against them and beat Clemson. Haynes King this past weekend. Haynes King reminds me a little bit of Eric Dungy, but Haynes King ran for 103 yards on 25 carries. And if you think about some of the past Syracuse-Clemson battles when, you know, we really should have won those games a few years ago. You know, Dungy ran for 60 yards and some really powerful, 1 or 2 yard rushing touchdowns. And then, of course, Garrett Schrader ran for 70 yards when we should have won that game back in 2021 or 2022, whenever it was. So, all that said, it seems like there's a common, theme of beating Clemson with dual threat quarterbacks. Angeli, not much of a dual threat, really a pocket passer. Does that make you a little nervous going down to Clemson, or do you think, Angeli could, hold his ground? Just curious your thoughts on that. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, no problem, Mark. Thanks for the call. Twofold here. One, good job of finding a common thread, and I could watch Haynes King play every day of the week. I like the way that guy plays football. But I was down at that Clemson game when Syracuse had him on the ropes. You could hear a pin drop in that stadium the last time they were down in Death Valley, and then they came back and won. As far as a common thread with this year, like to me, the key of this game is going to be, can you keep Steve Angeli upright? Like, he can't be suffering the hits that he took against UConn and stay in the game. Because if you can't keep him upright, it's going to be a long day for SU.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think also just naturally dual threat quarterbacks are on the rise, in football. Yeah. So I had kind of the same thought watching the Duke-Tulane game a little bit, and Tulane's quarterback ran for 4 touchdowns. They were burning Duke in the RPO game. There were a couple of times where... And
SU has that with Angeli. Like, they just don't,
right.
You're not going to utilize it as much. Will he have to make that read to pull it down and go? Yeah, but, he's a guy that doesn't want to. Like, he'll wait a little bit longer and try and find that guy. Rather than, try and pick up those 5 yards like an Eric Dungy would and try and run you over or just jump over you in Dungy's case.
Yeah, and I think if we were chatting with Jeff Nixon or Nunzio Campanelli or someone within the offense...
You can listen to Nunzio Campanelli's interview tomorrow on Orange Nation. We got bumped because of the NFL game tonight.
You're really filling in for Steve by slightly bringing in News Channel 9 content.
Paulie would be yelling at me left and right. But he is our guest this week on Orange Nation's TV program.
Our next guest is also, I believe, on Orange Nation.
Yes, Mike is every other week. We have Julian Wiggum this week, but
okay. Well, we'll chat with Mike on the radio show this week.
But back to Mark's comment about dual threat quarterbacks, and that's not the reason to me that Clemson has been losing these football games. Like, you got to score.
I think the reason is Haynes King is just really good.
Yeah.
And whether you're dual threat or not, I think we believe that Steve Angeli can be very good, and he's going to get better. And Syracuse, they do a lot of RPO in their offense, about as much as anyone. Yeah. It's just Angeli is probably not going to be as noticeable on the ground or as quick on the ground as some of these other
20-yard gains that you might have got in the past with a Dungy or a Schrader for that matter. Like, he's just not. He's not going to put himself in harm's way like those guys would.
Yeah, well, I was also thinking, for years, Syracuse had the problem of the starting quarterback couldn't stay healthy. Yeah, and I think that's the thing with Haynes King right now. If you're a Georgia Tech fan, you look at their upcoming schedule. I know Syracuse is on it. Syracuse is one of their tougher games really left. Like, they are in a very good spot to make the ACC championship game after taking down Clemson. But the big but for Georgia Tech fans right now is, can Haynes King stay healthy? And last year was one of the first years in a long time that Syracuse had a quarterback stay healthy throughout the entire season. And we're still talking about, can Steve Angeli stay healthy, because he has taken a lot of hits so far.
Let's face it, the UConn game, he was beat up. And to show what he showed in that fourth quarter with the hits that he took, the fourth down one deep inside UConn territory, it was right in front of me, and he got absolutely hammered. And to get up from that, that shows some moxie as a quarterback moving forward. Not only does it show moxie, it shows, to the rest of your team, I'm here, guys. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, for sure. It shows toughness and everything that Fran has been preaching about him. So I'm with you. I think, obviously, keeping the quarterback healthy is a key. And dual threat quarterbacks I think it's a good point by Mark, because if you have a good dual threat quarterback, that's better than having a good pocket passer in today's day and age. But that's not what Syracuse has, and Jeff Nixon has been pretty good at dialing up some nice plays for pocket passers.
And that's where I think, Mark would like to see that. I'm not putting words into his mouth. Like to see the dual threat quarterback. That's where Willis factor to me has to play into this game against Clemson. The dual threat run of the running back or the quarterback picking up those yards. Willis to me needs to pick up those yards. He needs to run for 90 yards. In this football game. Maybe he gets the ball 25 times, barring that he's healthy coming into the game, obviously, as well.
Yeah, I think we got one more caller. Let's check real quick. Is someone there? Maybe not. I don't know. Phone line is giving us fits. So we'll hit a timeout. We'll have Mike McAllister join us on the other side. We're overdue to get in a break, and the phone lines will be back open after that, after we chat with Mike McAllister from McAllister Monday on Orange Nation after this on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio.
Did you miss Drive Time with Tim?
We're on mute the whole break.
Oh, word?
Sorry, guys. Now I'm really Paulie. We're talking about golf. We're answering everyone's question.
Yeah, I did answer questions. Tim is a better golfer than me.
Yeah, what else do we say? Now we're coming back.
Yeah.
We gave you the weather update. Weather on the ones.
Where we're trying to play golf this Sunday.
Yeah.
Evando, congrats to your kid on winning his title.
Oh, he won?
Yeah.
Nice.
Watch your favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com.
This is Orange Nation.
Oh, man.
Yeah. You never know what's coming when we got the Pauly bumps here. Tim and Mario filling in for Stephen Pauly on Orange Nation. They'll be back tomorrow is the plan. And we've got a lot to discuss after the football game on Saturday. The Orange now 2-1 on the season. We're going to be getting ready for Clemson all week long. We'll hear from Fran Brown as well at the top of the hour, as always. His live press conference you can watch every Monday on QSportsTalk.com, Q Sports Talk YouTube page, and listen to it here on the radio. Let's go to our other typical Monday tradition, and that is our guy Mike McAllister for a McAllister Monday. And Mike, you had a good weekend. I feel like the Eagles won. Syracuse took care of business. Vibes must be good for you.
Yeah, until you got to talk to Tim and I, Mike. We apologize.
Yeah.
You know.
Outside of that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was great. And, got to go to the game with my son and sit in the stands, and he was excited because he got to stay up late. So it was a good weekend. And then, obviously, Sunday enjoyed beating the Chiefs for the third time in a row. So I'm sure Bills fans can appreciate that as well.
Right. Well, what were your takeaways, Mike, from a Colgate win like that? I know everyone was just hoping to see a little bit more of a clean performance from the offense. There was less of the procedural issues we saw the week prior, but what stood out most to you after the Colgate game?
Well, Steve Angeli looked real sharp. I thought throughout that entire game, didn't really have any questionable moments as far as his decision-making or passes or anything like that. I thought he looked really good, and it's interesting that he's actually only 2 yards, I think, if I have that correctly, behind Kyle McCord's pace from last year through 3 games. So it's, as much as I said before the season, we're not expecting that Steve Angeli's going to lead the nation in passing again. Here we are. He's right there. So kudos to him, despite the struggles in early stages of game 1 and then most of game 2. He's right there. So I was impressed by that. I thought the offensive line was better in some respects, but the running game was still not to the level that I was hoping to see, even without Yacine Willis. Obviously the fumble from Will Nixon was certainly an area of concern, but and defensively, I thought they tackled better at times and showed some positive things early, but there was a little stretch there in the second half where it got a little bit hairy. I know there were some backups in there and things like that, but you still don't expect that Colgate was going to have as easy of a time as they seem to have moving the ball during that stretch. So there's still, some areas of concern moving forward.
What'd you make of him putting Angeli back in there when you're already up big?
Well, I mean, in one sense, I'm like, man, if he gets hurt, then he's going to get crushed for this, right? But at the same time, I think it was more so to send a statement of like, guys, this is not acceptable. Yeah. What's been happening here with the backups? I think that was the main message more than anything was, throw Angeli back out there. He goes out there, has a nice drive, leads them to a score, and sort of allows Fran to turn to the rest of his guys and say, all right, now that's what we're expecting. Yeah. I don't care that you're backups, And so it was, I think, to send a message as much as anything. Certainly understand the fans that didn't like it because they're worried about their starting quarterback getting hurt. But, I think that was the primary motivation behind it.
Where have you seen Steve's game grow from this Tennessee game to now, he'll be making his 4th start come Saturday down in Clemson?
I think it's like anything else. The game slows down a little bit, and you think that they've sort of gone down in competition from each game, and now it's going to ramp back up, of course. But, you go from Tennessee to UConn and then UConn to Colgate, you're sort of stepping down each time. And I think that helps in some respects because, he had some of the issues in week 1 and then had some of that again in week 2, but it allows him to sort of work through those things and then process those things and try to work on some of those things. But he certainly looked more comfortable. I think that comeback against UConn might have been the moment, if he's good for the rest of the year, that we point to and say that's kind of when things clicked, when the light bulbs went on. It just seemed from the moment that Justice Ross Simmons caught the touchdown pass on 4th down that the offense has just felt like we feel like we're going to score on every drive now. Similar to what it was last year, where it felt like every time they were out there, you thought they were going to score. And when they didn't, it was a surprise. And they started to get a little bit of that vibe towards the end of the UConn game and then for most of the game against Colgate. But what last year's team had that this year's team doesn't is a consistent running game behind LaQuinn Allen. They're still searching for that this year, and they're going to need that as they start to get into conference play, because you can't be a team that runs the ball for 1.5 yards, 2 yards a carry, and then throws the ball 50 times every single game and expect to win all the time. You have to have games where you can rely on that running game, where you can use that running game to close games out as well.
Hawaii tried it for years with Timmy Chang. He just threw 70-some times a game. That's it.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the recipe for success. We saw them throw it all over the place last year, and I think it is trending more towards that, although, like you said, Mike, without Yasin Willis, that makes a difference in how much you're going to run the football and how effectively you're going to run the football. Mike, I can't remember off the top of my head what your overall win-loss record prediction was going into the season, but we're now
7-5.
7-5. Okay, we're now 3 weeks in. If I gave you the opportunity to change that prediction, would you change it one way or the other after the first 3 games?
No, I don't like doing that, to be honest with you. I made a prediction before the season. It's almost similar to, like, everyone fills out a bracket NCAA tournament time, right? And then they always give you that option of, hey, redo a bracket now that we're in the Sweet 16. And I've never done that, because I feel like, look, I made my prediction. It's probably going to be wrong. That's fine, but I'm sticking with it. I'm not changing it and then going to act like, oh, look how smart I was, So just like the last game of the regular season, if they're sitting at 5-6, I'm not going to say, oh, I'm predicting 6-6. Look how brilliant I am.
Sure, yeah.
But I just don't. I stick with my original prediction until it's not mathematically possible anymore. So even though the path to getting there isn't what I thought, because I predicted in that 7-5 that Tennessee was one of the 7, but despite that, as long as it's still mathematically possible, I'm going to stick with it.
You touched on the defense a little bit. And you said, the tackling has improved over these last couple of games. Like, does it concern you with this defense that they're not able to get after the quarterback, or is it not a concern because, let's face it, they're keeping teams out of the end zone? That's the main part of a defense.
I mean, ultimately, that is the main part, right? If you can minimize the number of points they're scoring, that's a great thing. So that's certainly something that is, I don't know that there's a specific, other than, points scored, but there's a skill in that's not necessarily tangible, like, oh, it's because they're getting this many turnovers or this many sacks or this is their pressure rate or whatever else. It's just one of those things that some teams, some defenses are just good at. And Syracuse seems to be one of those teams over the last couple of years that is good at figuring out ways to get stops in critical moments, to limit teams in the red zone, limit them on third down, and keep teams from racking up huge point totals on them. There's a skill in that. There's a non-quantifiable talent to being able to do that. And we've seen it 2 years in a row, essentially now. It'll be interesting to see if they can keep that up in conference play, especially against a good Clemson team this coming week, even though they've had their share of struggles on the offensive side of the ball. But, yeah, I mean, I'm still concerned about the ability to get consistent pressure on the quarterback. I'm still concerned about the run defense. But at the same time, I do think you have to give them credit for being able to make the plays when they need to and being able to tighten up in the red zone and keeping teams out of the end zone.
Since you went there, a Clemson team that has struggled offensively, like, is it trying to get pressure on Cade Klubnik that has allowed these teams to beat, Clemson and, have them start 1-2 this season? How do you see, like, Syracuse kind of playing the game against the Tigers?
That's certainly part of it. I think that's kind of where you start, is you got to be able to pressure them. Then they've also got some good running backs, so I think you got to be able to stop them running the ball. But the biggest area of concern that I have, because I've seen, Colgate's quarterback did this a little bit, which is using that scrambling ability and that escape ability. Tennessee's quarterback did that a little bit. UConn's not as much, but he's not as mobile of a guy as those other two. And Cade Klubnik is extremely mobile. He can really hurt you with his legs. And so that's an area of concern I have going into this game, is how Syracuse is going to be able to account for the legs of Cade Klubnik. Are they going to spy him? How are they going to handle that? How are they going to game plan for that? But the biggest thing is, once you get there, and you had the opportunity to get him down in the backfield and set up a second and long or a third and long, you have to take advantage of that. You can't let him slip through those and then turn that into even, on 2nd and 7, turn a 5-yard loss into a 5-yard gain. Now it's a 3rd and 2 instead of 3rd and 12. I mean, that's a huge difference. And if you do that 3 or 4 times a game, that can be the difference between 3 and 4 scores or 3 and 4 punts. So that's the biggest area of concern I have going into this game.
Mike, depending on where you look right now, the line is 16.5, 17.5. I've seen it as high as 19-point favorites for Clemson this week. I know last week Clemson opened as a 9-point favorite against Georgia Tech. Then all of a sudden they're 3-point favorites, and of course they didn't cover. Does that surprise you, seeing that line be that many points for Clemson? And what's just your early lean on how Syracuse matches up?
It does feel like it's a larger line than I would have expected given how Clemson has looked. But again, the teams they've lost to are also good teams, right? They've lost to LSU and Georgia Tech. That's nothing to sneeze at. It's not like they lost to UConn and Colgate, for example. So I certainly understand it to some extent. I think this goes back to people still thinking pretty highly of the talent that Clemson has throughout the roster. But kind of the same feeling I had going into the Tennessee game, which is I expected that Tennessee was going to be the favorite. I wasn't necessarily expecting a 14-point favorite. Now, Vegas knows what they're doing much more than I do, but similar going into this game, 16 or 17 seems high. So does that mean that they're asking you to take Syracuse because they want you to take Syracuse because they believe Clemson's going to win in a blowout? I'm not sure. We'll see how it plays out.
Mike, I can't get you out of here without asking you a recruiting question. And with the UCLA firing and with the Virginia Tech firing, anything on the recruiting trail as far as those guys, decommitting and maybe, Syracuse being in the mix to get a couple of them?
Yeah, it's still a little bit too early to tell, but there's certainly some commitments on both of those lists. Players committed to each of those schools that would be intriguing if I'm Syracuse. There's a defensive back that's committed to Virginia Tech, Xavion Cleveland. He took an official visit to Syracuse over the summer, so he's someone that you wonder, would Syracuse sort of kick the tires around there and say, hey, are you willing to take another look at us with the situation going on there at Virginia Tech? They've got a 4-star offensive lineman that's committed there. Syracuse wasn't really involved in that recruitment, but you can never pass on elite level offensive linemen. So do you take a look there? There's a kid from Massachusetts, Carter Gooden I believe is his name, 4-star defensive lineman who's committed to UCLA. Syracuse was involved with him, was trying to get him on campus over the summer for an official visit. He ended up going to Penn State instead of Syracuse. But again, that's someone that Syracuse was involved with, that they were trying to get on campus for an official visit. The fact that they didn't means that they could now. So can they try to talk him into coming to visit and see if they can make their pitch at that point? Those are just a few of the names that I'm kind of monitoring, but certainly anytime you have an in-season firing of a head coach, it's prudent to do your due diligence at a minimum, and I expect the Syracuse coaches will certainly do that.
Yeah, it's just interesting that it's less than 4 games in, so these guys have decisions to make. You could save a season basically if you want.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Mike. Well, we got to let you go, but we appreciate the time as always. Always great stuff, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, there's Mike McAllister, our Monday guest, as always, here on Orange Nation. We still have Fran Brown's press conference to get to at the top of the hour. We'll be back after this on Orange Nation on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio.
This is Orange.
How much do you want to say drive time? Like, how much is that like going into your head of
a little bit
when you're exiting?
But it's also it's such a new thing too that the best example of that last year is I filled in for a Florida Learfield broadcast because Florida women's lacrosse was playing like in the off day of the Final Four for lacrosse. Okay. And I'm tossing a break, and Kyle was just hanging in the booth with me. Like, it was a solo broadcast, and Kyle's behind me just joking around. And the game was the Florida UNC game.
Yeah.
Total blowout.
Steve and I were there for most because we were up on the catwalk filming our
Kyle's back there like, what is Reggie doing defensively? And then we go and hire the guy. but it's like 20-3 or something. I go to break at the end of the game.
Slaughtered after the first quarter. It was like,
and I'm like, all right, we'll be back on the Florida Sports Network from Learfield. And Kyle's back there just dying laughing at me.
Yeah, we just got to the stadium, and I was like, this game was 4-2 North Carolina, and it's 18-4 now.
Right. They got off to a great start. I was like, oh, surely I won't be doing Florida on Monday. They're not making it, or Sunday, I guess it would have been. They're not making it, and they didn't, but it was looking like they might hang around.
Got drilled.
Yeah. I mean, UNC crushed everyone, the women's lacrosse side.
And they're young, too.
Yeah. Their freshman won the Chloe Humphrey.
Run
Yeah.
it back.
She won the Tewaaraton as a freshman, so. Do we think SU can beat Clemson? I mean, I tend to think that Clemson...
I want to know if Willis's health status.
Yeah.
And Devin Grant's health status.
But I feel good about that.
I'll go 40-60 if they're healthy. SU wins. If they're not healthy, I just don't see that you have enough in the tank offensively.
I would say this. My reaction to Clemson losing to Georgia Tech, if anything, just increased the chances for me of them beating Clemson. I'm not subscribing to...
It's not
they're
sold
going
on
to be
their offense. This is a game where I think if Syracuse scores 24 points, they score 30 points, they're going to win the football game.
Yeah.
Do I see it being in the 30s?
I mean, they scored 10 against LSU, 27 against Troy, and 21 against Georgia Tech.
I mean, they were losing to Troy halfway through that third.
Yeah, it was 16-0 Troy at one point. I mean, I think they're better than what their record says. They have way better personnel. It's just a reality of the situation than Syracuse, especially in the trenches. And that's the concern still is you're 3 weeks into the season. You're 2-1 if you're Syracuse. That's what we thought. But they've looked worse in the trenches than I probably would have guessed going into the season. So
and can Syracuse offensive line healthy and because Angelic can't get pounded.
Yeah. So we'll do this Lee Baldwin.
Yeah,
we just gotta be out.
You got it?
Yeah.
It's all on you.
Yeah. We just gotta be out by 55 so that don't miss Fran. So this will be quick. Let's see, what else did we talk about in the last break when I had the mics down? We can relive our conversation. Yeah.
7.7 and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com.
Live from Armory Square, this is Orange Nation.
We failed today and didn't do the artist of the day. We were scrambling. Paulie's out. Steve's out. Tim and Mario with you on a Monday. Orange Nation. Guys should be back tomorrow as we lead you into Clemson. Big game coming up this Saturday. We'll have plenty to talk about throughout the week here on all of our shows, Orange Nation and Drive Time. But right now, let's get a check of the state of the market coming off the weekend. And let's go to our guy, Bill, who is from Lee Baldwin. Bill, how's the market looking on this Monday?
So far, so good to start the week. The Dow's up modestly, and the Nasdaq's pretty strong, up nearly 1%. So we're heading into a Federal Reserve meeting the next 2 days, hoping for lower interest rates on Wednesday. So the markets are anticipating that. Plenty of diamonds today. We're going to go with Tesla. It's jumping 5%, up over 20% in the last week. So the stock's been acting better. Elon Musk bought $1 billion worth of stock recently, so he's still bullish on his company, and that gave a shot in the arm to that stock. And then the downside, to be honest, not many stocks lower. We're going to go with NVIDIA, the AI chip maker, modestly lower as China said they violated their anti-monopoly laws, but I think that has more to do with politics than really breaking the law. So overall, real good day, good start to the week.
All right, we like to hear that, Bill. We appreciate it as always. That is Bill in Lee Baldwin. Lee Baldwin has all the diamonds, none of the dogs. Not really any dogs today, and I guess Elon Musk has a lot of money.
How would you like to have $1 billion just to throw it? Yeah. I'll throw it on my stock and we'll go from there.
I mean, when he said that, I didn't even really get that was legal.
It didn't register with me that you could do that.
Yeah, but I guess when you have a lot of money, you can just keep making more money. That's kind of the takeaway there with Elon Musk. And I feel like Tesla's stock was down for a number of years.
I thought it was, down for at least the last 6 months. But
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, that is our friends at Lee Baldwin, as always, keeping us updated on the stock market. We're going to hit a timeout because when we return, we will have the full Fran Brown press conference live, as we always do on our Monday Orange Nation. You can watch it on QSportsTalk.com or on our YouTube simulcast. Fran Brown's presser after this on Orange Nation on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio.
Did you miss Drive Time with
Luke Carney being QB3 ahead of Williams is something. I think a little bit, maybe. I mean, Carney, that's got to be an awesome way to start your college career. Pop in there and get a touchdown.
Pop in and
you know, Ricky Collins, I think he joked about it. It was like, that was my play. Like, we had already called it for me. It was such an easy TD run. Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of something. I guess the takeaway there is Jakari Williams might want to hit the portal maybe, but you know, it's your QB3, so we don't know how tight that battle is really.
Yeah, didn't he look at the portal before?
I think never. I don't think he's ever like been in and then out, but yeah, I would think all the quarterbacks, backup quarterbacks, are always considering it. I saw Justice Ross Simmons should be good, Zach. Fran said afterwards, just his finger and he's fine. I view that as not a concern.
Announced that Syracuse and Duke is a noon kickoff on the ACC.
Another nooner.
ACC network. Listen, that makes it easy. My life easier.
Yeah, I actually don't mind.
I film until the fourth quarter, and then Maddie takes over, and I go back and edit the show.
Yep. Selfishly, noon is fine with me.
It's kind of cool that the CNS kid is going at you for Lax.
For Lax, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they've had a good start to their recruiting class.
Played last year. He's
a midfielder, right?
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah.
He's got a great coach. What's his name? He used to coach at OCC as their head coach at CNS now. Chuck Wilbur.
Okay, yep. Yeah, I feel like it's the local Lax guys have dipped a little bit in terms of how many of them are.
How many of the biggest swing and a miss for SU was Pacino going to.
He was in that PLL championship game this weekend.
That
was a good game.
LSM player of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a miss. And then, actually, it was good to see they got that short stick D Mitty, who's supposed to be good. I just feel like they haven't recruited that position well enough. And they've had I remember Denver a couple years ago in the quarterfinals, their top short sticks were, I can't remember their names now, but they were Syracuse local guys. And it was like, it'd been nice to have them on our side.
Yeah. All you gotta do is look at Gil Martin. The kid's a stud at Cornell.
That's another one. He got better and better this year. Duke is struggling, SE Morgan. They're 1-2 also. They play NC State this week. They got crushed by Illinois, which Illinois is top 15 good, and then they lost at Tulane.
I thought Duke would be good. Not great, but I thought they would be.
Yeah.
Defensively, I thought they would be good.
I thought they'd be much better defensively than they have been. Yeah. They returned a lot. They went 9-3 last year, but they won like every close game. They did lose a game they should have won against SMU, but I think outside of that, they won like tons of one possession games. So I think the concern was that maybe they got a little lucky to get to their record last year. Guys, obviously just put it up on my screen when we have Fran, or text me or something, and we'll go right to it. The irony of
that's funny.
That's good. Yeah, ND's ranked and they're 0-2, right? That was a tough loss. Couple wild games this weekend.
What do you make of the rankings?
It's kind of just hard now, but I'm trying to think if anything stood out. Like we said, Ohio State's number 1, but it's like by default. I think Miami's looked as good as anyone through first couple weeks here.
LSU.
LSU's look good.
I mean, if you're just going off
ESPN Radio.
This year, then yeah.
Watch your favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com.
That's right. There's no bump to start the second hour. That's another thing that Paulie hasn't fixed in the log. We're filling in for Paulie and Steve this week or today on Orange Nation. Tim Leonard, Mario Sacco. We're about to go live to Fran Brown's full press conference as we do every Monday. Steve and Paulie should be back with us tomorrow, but talking all things Syracuse football after the win over Colgate. And I think everyone wants to know about the injuries here. I'm sure Fran will get asked about that. I think we're interested in Demetrius Weatherspoon, maybe more than anyone else. But, Willis didn't play last game. Devin Grant didn't play. So we'll hear what the coach has to say about that.
Yeah, wide receiving wise, Justice Ross Simmons has been playing well. Hopefully it is just a minor finger issue for him. But Willis being the key on the offensive side, that if he's healthy coming into this game against Clemson.
Yeah. And I think Fran has been honest about Justice Ross Simmons should be fine, and Yasin Willis was held out. Also, just seeing Devin Grant and how much he's been dancing on the sideline, and I mean, he's not in a scooter or anything.
No,
my gut says he's fine.
Even the UConn game, that he was walking off the field, off the field fine to me. We're not there in practice. We're not seeing him cutting in and out and making cuts on what appears to be a lower leg injury, a knee injury as he was getting rolled up on. In the game that he was hurt on. So we'll go from there and see what Fran has to say. Obviously, I'm sure he's going to give his flowers to Clemson and Dabo and, what it's like to face him going against, kind of the main guy in the ACC.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Fran to get Clemson into the college football playoff this year.
Yes,
it seems like. I don't think we're going to end the year with him saying, Dabo Sweeney, I got you in, baby.
Yeah. So, if he touches on that, and that was kind of cool last year between the two, going back and forth and how Clemson got into the college football playoff, so to say.
Yeah, and this is the first time going against a Dabo Sweeney team for Fran Brown. So I'm sure he is thrilled about that opportunity. He's made a lot of comments in the past about how much of an honor it is to go against some of these great coaches, and this will be high on the list for sure of guys that he admires this week. So Fran Brown should be getting to the podium here shortly, and we will go live to that as soon as he does get to the podium for his Monday press conference. I think overall, I say Clemson isn't going to make the college football playoff this year. That's the other thing.
Well,
can now.
The year that they started 1-2 in 2014, they finished 10-3. So
there's an example.
It's not like they.
Last year they started shaky and they were in the playoff because they won the ACC championship and Syracuse's win over Miami. So
one loss isn't going to kill you, but two losses will hurt you to play in a conference championship game, and Notre Dame's going to be finding that out pretty quickly with the two losses that they have here early on in the year to Texas A&M and falling to Miami. So, what do you make as we're waiting for Fran to come to the podium? Do you make anything out of the AP Top 25 poll? Georgia Tech finally gets in there. They're ranked 18th, but not a lot of ACC teams when you're looking at that poll.
Yeah, I think Georgia Tech could end up being a top 10 team just based on their schedule ahead here. I just think they have a really good offensive line. They check a lot of boxes.
Quick eye test, Georgia Tech or Florida State?
I lean Georgia Tech right now, and I know Florida State has a very good win, and Alabama looked the part against Wisconsin this week, and I'm not down on Florida State per se, but I just feel like Haynes King I would rather have than Tommy Castellanos, and overall I just think you're a little bit more confident in what you have with Georgia Tech, considering they were there last year and they returned a lot from last year.
Fair enough.
So I don't know. The AP poll is always tough this early. Notre Dame's still ranked. They're 0-2. They became the first team in 40 years, I think, to be in that situation. And it looks like we got Fran Brown now. So let's go to the podium for his press conference.
I'm excited about this week, excited about the opportunity to coach Syracuse football team. Thankful for our fans, community, everybody that came out this past weekend. We got a big game ahead of us, so I'm just truly thankful and happy about that. I'm excited to get a chance to compete against Clemson, Coach Dabo Sweeney. One of the best coaches in college football, right? Hands down, top 5 coaches there is. He's a really good football coach. I think he does an amazing job. Offensive coordinator Riley's good. Tom Allen, a good person also. I remember Coach Allen from, I think, South Florida, where he did an amazing job there. Then at Indiana, turned the program around, and now it's being over there with him. They got a lot of experience. Special teams coordinator Mike Reed, Coach Reed's really good secondary coach, one of the better ones in the country. So it's exciting. It's a good opportunity to go against and compete against a good program, like a really good established program, and a very fine head coach. So I'm thankful for this opportunity that we get to go out and at a great venue, an amazing stadium actually, to get to go to Death Valley and have some fun and compete at football.
Questions? We'll start right in front with Dan.
Coach, working so much with the defensive backs and practicing just in general, working with that room, what have you seen from them in these first 3 weeks and kind of some of your takeaways, and then specifically to Deuce Chestnut, who's been a corner, been a safety, just his versatility as well?
Deuce is a leader back there. He does a really good job. He can do everything, could play a lot of positions. Thankful that he's in the back at safety now because he can communicate with everybody, make sure guys is lined up right, and that helps us a lot. I think that we're getting better week by week. Right, I think the guys are consistently getting better. They make some really good plays. You're like, wow, I know you could do that. Then they do some dumb stuff every once in a while too, right? So it's kind of hey, let's lock in, just work on your technique and finish, right? Let's finish. Let's not guess. Let's just read our keys, right? I think that when they read their keys, they're extremely well. Sometimes when they try to guess, it doesn't always work itself out. But you don't want to take those instincts away from some good football players. You want them to be instinctual sometimes. So guessing, instincts, still the same, but I'd rather them have instincts off of watching tape and things of that nature, and it tells them they remember seeing this, they know what it is, and they're ready to make the play.
Fran, when you take a transfer out of the portal and he doesn't have a lot of college tape, what's your process like for deciding, I think this guy can help us, versus the other coach didn't play him for a reason?
I think there's always a lot of practice tape, and you have to go off of the team that he was at and how they practice, your relationship with that coach. You go off if you were recruiting him, and how that went in the recruiting process. Then there's a message, just communicating back and forth, making sure they're comfortable with your culture. And I would say sometimes you got to go with your gut. You got to go with your gut. You got to understand and know there'll be a fit here for what we do. And just having confidence in your gut, it's a little bit of faith, right? So it's a lot of faith, to be honest. Faith is everything with me, but it's just you having some hope that it'll work itself out.
Is the practice tape always available, or does it depend? Like a team in your conference might not give it to you or something like that? I'm
not really sure. It depends, case by case.
You can hand it right back to Samantha behind you.
Coach, throughout the week in practice, how do you match the intensity of a place like Death Valley?
Just have fun. Shit, I'm here. Just how I am every day. I'm on go all the time, so I'm only calm and chilling because I'm in here. I just left the defensive room excited. I was in the staff meeting excited. So, you get a chance to play football, to coach football. How do you not? It's just the energy. It's just who you are daily, right? We got to find some things to make it loud for the offense, things of that nature. I don't know. I might just, everybody I see outside tell them come to practice today. No, I'm messing with you. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. We'll have fun. We'll figure it out. We're just going to have fun, though, right? Honestly, just about competing, having fun, and making plays every day at practice. And eventually those will happen in the game.
What, 80 minutes?
Yeah, Coach, obviously with the game being Friday night this past week, how does that kind of change, how this week looks? Does that change any routines, and how can you use that extra day to your advantage this week?
We just try to watch football, try to keep the players away, get them to relax, try to take their mind away from ball, get an extra day to recover, right? Recovery is so important. It's probably the most important piece of it. So is able to do that and then recover not just the bodies, but also the mental, to get the mental to be ready to come back and compete. Because we're gonna have a great game this weekend, right? We're playing against a great team, so it's gonna be fun. I mean, it's the ACC, so you understand and know that this is gonna be a tough football game for us to go into and compete and play. So same preparation, just different team.
Yeah, and then with Travion, do you have any status on if he'll be back this week? And also on that, just what have you seen from Nikhil kind of stepping up these past 2 weeks?
They told me I ain't have to tell you that. The Thursday it started to go out. So Thursday I'll put questionable. Friday I have questionable. 2 hours before the game, I'll tell you what it's going to be. I might put almost questionable. It's like, nah, they just said I hope he play. He should play. Seeing how it goes, I'm gonna push him to play, but it just depends on his body and how everything reacts.
Christian right in front.
Coach, when you have so many true freshmen playing important roles on your team already, Byron on offense, Demetrius and Antoine on defense, what does that say about the class that you just brought in and the direction of the future of this program heading forward?
They're good football players. I bring them in all the time and I talk to them about it. When all of them get on the field and they are mentally and physically developed enough and ready to play ball, we won't be stopped. I can't wait to see them all on the field when that time comes. You see what happened with Darren and Dante as they got on this weekend, and Gabe, right? Gabe was able to score also. So, we got some good football players. The young D-line, all those guys got a chance to get in and play, and that just gave them a taste. They hungry. Now they want to be pushed, right? I talked to Quante today. He said, Coach, just keep pushing me. I'm excited. I can't wait. I understand. I know where I'm at now, and I want to play. And you just got to keep working, right? So, but when that 24, 25 class is on the football field and you got some other guys behind them 26s that's coming in, different things, it'll be, it's going to be exciting to watch and exciting to see, right? It's going to be fun.
Put a Brent, and after that, I'm going to pass it right back to Maddie.
Coach, some people might look and see 3 sacks and see that as maybe that's something you got to improve on. But is there other things the pass rush is doing that maybe doesn't show up in the stats that you're encouraged by so far?
They're getting hurries. I think we got to improve on it too. I'll talk about that. We got to let the rushers rush, the droppers drop. We just got to have fun, right? I tell them the same thing. We want more sacks. Of course we do. I just really want to win. So if winning means you can't have a lot of sacks, then they keep the sacks and we'll take the W's.
And would you put Yassine in the category of Travion? Is he practicing this week, or how would you characterize him coming back? Yassine, yes.
Thursday you'll find out. Questionable. He better practice though. He better play. He got to play football, right? It's the nature of the business, the game, so we'll see. But if everything goes right, he'll play.
Brent, if you just pass it right back to Maddie.
Coach, looking at Clemson and Cade, what makes this offense so difficult to kind of prepare for, especially knowing that you're going to be going into Death Valley with a team that's 1-2 right now, kind of desperate for a win?
I think they're a good football team. I think they could easily be 3-0. Right, it's a couple plays. They'll easily be 3-0. They could easily be still talked about as best team in the country, right? One of the better teams in the country, and I think that's who they are. They got one of the better coaches, teams. So, they got Randall at running back, Davison at running back, the receivers, 12, 1, 0s, 22, 11 at tight end. They loaded on offense, right? And then Cade to go with all of those guys. So I'm excited to go compete against those guys, man. They some good football players. They got a good culture there. So it's going to be fun to go up to Death Valley to have an opportunity to go play, and especially with us building our culture and them having a strong culture. I'm excited that we get a chance to play them right now.
Go up to WAR in the third row.
Fran, last fall you beat Miami. Clemson gets into the ACC title game, and you called Dabo. What did you say to him on that call?
Nah, we were just saying congratulations to each other. He was happy that we won. I was just happy he got an opportunity to go in the conference championship. You want somebody that you know to be able to go to the conference championship, get a chance to win, especially after we won. So, I was excited for him. I mean, they worked their butts off. That was just more so me calling them. But that was last year, right? I want to go to the conference championship this year. But that was pretty cool to be able to see them guys go there and win and get into the playoffs also. So we wouldn't have had an opportunity to do either, to get in the playoffs or to go to a conference championship. So it's pretty cool to be able to see another team from the ACC have an opportunity to go into that game.
The first few games of each season, Coach, can kind of serve as measuring sticks for where your team is. Those games are obviously, still important to win. But, after Tennessee, UConn, Colgate, how do you feel about where your team is at now that the conference slate is set to begin? We got to keep getting better every day. Like every day is a race to get better. It's important that we get better. It's important that we practice hard. But it starts off in the morning with praying. From them prayers, we got to come to breakfast. We got to go to class. We got to be in treatment. Like we got to do everything. Like we got to do everything right. The more of the things that we do right, the more the better karma comes our way, right? So that's really, we got to get better at everything. We want to all get better. And that starts with myself, being a head football coach, all the way to whoever it may be that you think isn't getting in the game, all the way to the equipment guy that helps out, that comes from class. He better be in class, then come over here and do it right. It's just our entire organization, not just the players, everybody. Everybody has to continue to grow and continue to get better so we can meet the program that we want to be, and hopefully our culture is strong enough so everybody has the opportunity of doing that.
Go in front to Chris, and then Spectrum right after that.
Fran, I think after every game this year, you've talked about trying to get the team to come together and care about each other and love each other. Has that process been different this year than it was last year?
I think every year the process of getting closer and growing and coming together is different. You can't just assume that because you done it last year with these people that it automatically goes, right? Like every year you got to put a little bit more into it, right? Like for me, I've been with my wife now 26 years and married 21. Every year I got to step the bar up a little bit more. It just doesn't automatically stay the same, or you automatically have to do this. You got to keep doing different things to spice the relationship, right? To keep things going. And we got to keep communicating and growing and understanding and learning and knowing each other on our football team, so that way you want to play for guys more, right? It's like going to work. A lot of people go to work and they don't want to be there. I want them to come in the building and be excited that they get to see their brothers, and be around each other and see the coaches and have fun at practice before they get ready to go home.
And then when Vegas makes you guys as big an underdog as they did this week, do you say
it again?
When Vegas makes you guys,
I don't care about what Vegas.
You don't talk about it with your team?
Nah, Vegas said Canelo was about to win. But, you know what I'm saying?
They don't know everything.
Crawford said different, right? So I don't really pay attention to that. I'm not allowed to gamble or bet on us, so I don't pay attention to that. I'm just focused on just today, really, like the first quarter, just trying to do that. That's cool. I like being underdog. I've been underdog my whole life, right? 50 got a good song, Hated or Love It, the underdog's on top. You should listen to that sometime. Be pretty cool.
I know that one.
That's my song.
Believe it or not.
Coach, I know you get excited about every game, but is there something about, we talked last year about rivalries, kind of developing these rivalries. Is there something about Clemson? Does that get circled on your calendar when you see that?
Nah, I like every game. I want to play everybody. Whoever they put on the schedule, we all become rivals, right? It doesn't really matter who it is. You got to prepare the same way. You got to practice the same way. Still got to get the same amount of hours of sleep. Got to do all the same things. So it's just all preparation. I'm excited that we have the opportunity of doing this. I know it's going to be sold out, right? So for me, I've been loving football since I've been a little kid. So to be able to go and coach at a stadium like this and to be there, it's going to be sold out. It's going to be fun, right? You're excited about that. And I can't wait for the opportunity.
Coach, where is the place that you've seen the most growth from Steve Angeli over the past 3 games?
Not getting sacked. He's just a leader, and he's getting more and more comfortable. You know, just IDing everything and just growing with his teammates, more so back to him with the love and just to hanging with him, but just understanding the offense more, right? I think I told y'all in the beginning that Steve kind of came on at the end of our first game, and we'll keep getting better and better and better, and then I think he's just going to keep growing. I think he's a really smart, intelligent young man who's a winner, who wants to win, who loves to win, and he'll just keep getting better, right? He's understanding the offense more and more every week, so it's set for him to win, right? He's a leader, and we're going to follow him, right? The guys will follow him, the players follow him, they respect him, just proud of him.
We'll go down front to Zach and Aiden, and then Dan as well right after. We're ready to go.
Fran, obviously Clemson has a strong defensive line. Just what have you seen from on tape, and what sort of challenges do they present?
Clemson D-line?
Clemson's D-line,
Yeah,
yes.
they fucking nice. 11, 90, my man, it's two of them. 19, I mean, they ridiculous, especially 11. Like, I like 11 a lot. I think he's a good player. They good. Like, they're really good. I mean, I can't wait to play against them, though, just to see where we are. Our offensive line going to compete their butts off, but they nice. 13, right? It's just a bunch of them. Then the linebackers, Sammy Brown, I remember recruiting him at Georgia. He a good player. 17's a good player. So I like their front seven a lot. They've probably got one of the better front sevens in the country. They do a good job. So it's going to be a good test for us, right, to see who we are. But watching them on tape, you be like, damn. Like, I mean, they legit. They do a good job, so I'm excited to play them.
And then in terms of your special teams, we've seen Tripp and Jaden kind of rotate in terms of who's kicking field goals and who's taking kickoffs. Just what goes into that in terms of having that switch?
They're not rotating. Tripp's kicking field goals, and Jaden's kicking off. He's kicking off. I don't think we rotated. I think they've done that every time all year.
No, I meant like what goes into Tripp kicking the field goals, and
he was more accurate in the camp throughout the summer. Jaden, he was more accurate in camp throughout the summer, and Jaden's leg was super strong, and he's been doing a good job with the touchbacks. I think he had 10 touchbacks this weekend, which was a good deal. So happy for him. I think he was special teams player of the week for us too. So shout out to him. He did a good job.
Yeah, going back to the DB room, Chris Peel's a guy I know you recruited since Rutgers. Just what has he brought to the team so far, and what's your relationship looked like with him since way back?
He's a good kid. His mom's a great woman. He comes from a really good background, right? His aunts, just his whole family is good, and he loves to compete, and he can play. I think he'll not only dominate here for the next 3 years, but I think he'll go and do the same thing in the NFL. He'll continue to get better and better and better, and he's a smart, intelligent kid. I just enjoy it. I love Chris. Like, that's my boy, right? I'm so happy that he got to come here and play for us. I've been recruiting him for a long time, and it's starting to pay off, and you can see how you guys been watching. You can see how he can play. He's a good football player. I mean, he's a solid tackler, right? You don't usually have a lot of corners that can tackle that solid and aren't afraid of contact. 6'1", 10'4", 100 meter. So, I mean, they're all the things that you're looking for. Chris Pill is one of those guys at corner.
Take two more. We'll start with Dan.
Fran, looking at Darrell Gill Jr., just what he's done, his evolution, like he said, he was one of those guys as a freshman that wanted to come in, wanted opportunities. Now he wants to see other guys eat. Just how he's excelled at his game and what he's done as a leader to celebrate everybody, not just himself.
I think he's a guy that is not selfish at all. So he's always happy to see other people do well. Leadership, he's getting better at it. He could continue to get better at it, right? He continue to grow, continue to work. Athletically, he a freak, right? He could jump out the gym, he could catch, he could make plays. He's fast. People don't understand and know that. I'm thankful for him. I'm thankful for the way he's been working. I'm thankful for, he's just himself, though. That's what I like most of all about him. He a Texas kid, and you're gonna understand and know he from Texas. His whole style and his swag is Texas. And he thorough, though, man. That's my boy. I'm really thankful for him. I'm happy that he's here, happy that he's playing and leading that receiver room.
And then I know that, like you said, you lean on your faith. That's the most important thing to you. Last year you talked about how LaQuint Allen Jr. started to come in and pray with you. I know we hear from other guys like Dan Villari's kind of evolution through his faith and whatnot. What can you say to that a few games into this season, building that faith, building a structure around something a lot bigger than simply football?
Oh, that's who we played for Saturday. That was my message before the game, to make sure we play for the man above, and not worry about all the selfish things that we want to play for and the reasons why and all like that. Don't worry about the flush. It was about the man above. And just keep doing that, right? As we keep playing that way and we continue to glorify his name, no matter the religion, whatever our religion may be, especially right now in our time and the era where we at with our country and things of that nature. I think that faith, and love, right? Faith and love is just something that we all got to hold on to and understand that it's real, right? It's not a game. It helps you get through life, right? And understand why things happen the way they do sometimes. But I just tell our players, faith and hard work, faith and hard work. Let's stick to that. Let's let that be our core of who we are, right? And when we have that within us, there's no way we can't be successful. Just stay focused. Let's not try to do what's the trend. Let's do what we know is right, and let's do it with a pure heart.
And last one, if anybody's got it.
Oh, man.
Fran, you've talked about Byron and how important and how much he'll help you guys when he's able to play more. How unique was the process in terms of getting him in shape for this season? Because we all know sort of he came in big and he looks like a lot different now.
It was fun. It's a fun process. I'm excited that we get to go through it. Byron's a young kid, right? He's growing. I think he's still getting taller, to be honest. But we're just, it's a process that we're just going through, and I'm happy I got to go through it with him. I'm excited. I'm happy that I'm his coach. I think he and I belong together, right? I understand Byron. Byron understands me. And I think he's going to be an NFL player, right? I think that he needed to go through this process here because it'll help push him, right? Byron, I won't say exactly how much weight he lost, but he lost more weight than any of us will lose because we don't got that mental toughness. We say it, but we don't always do it. And he just works, right? And he knows what he wants in life. He's a mature kid. He's the leader of that freshman class. Right, those guys understand him, they look up to him because he works, and they know he works. And when he doesn't, he'll tell you, now that was on me, I was being lazy, but I got it. Like, I'll make sure I work it out, right? And he does a good job. Comes in and just does extra stuff with Coach Hicks, just to work on his flexibility, to work on, different things with him running and things of that nature. So, I mean, he's a guy that's just going to put the work in. Well, I always talk about the CCT. He's committed, he cares. And why do I trust him? Because he constantly works, and he's constantly showing me that he can do things that most people can't do, right? If you were 6'8" and weighed that much, who knows what you'll be doing, right? Or things of that nature. So Byron's a dog.
I think you posted a picture of him in the sauna. Like, is there anything unique that you've had him do, or is it the same process as sort of any guy who needs to lose?
Yeah, same process as everybody else. If I tell my secrets, then they ain't a secret no more, right? So, it's the same process. Just watch what you eat, just eating, right? There's a certain time. Don't eat after this time at night. All those things that people say, right? Get up in the morning, eat early, work out, boom, boom. Don't eat after this. Don't have a lot of sugars. Just all the main basic stuff that people need to do that we don't follow, me included, right? So if we do that, then we'll all look great and be in a really good shape.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah.
Brown for his Monday press conference, which you can always hear here on Orange Nation and watch on QSportsTalk.com. You never know what's going to come out of Fran's mouth. We had to work in the dump button, which sometimes is the case with Coach Brown, but honest on a lot of different stuff there, and we can react to that on the other side. Phone lines are open as well at 315-437-7644. We're back after this on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio.
Burdick Toyota.
Where do I go get food?
Yeah. Darwin's always a good option. Yeah. I'm hungry too. I brought a salad, which sounded good at 8 a.m. Now I'm like, I need more food. Yeah, I had a Smoothie and a Cliff Bar to this point. Fran Brown has not played Clemson. Zach? Yeah, that will go viral, I would say. A clip of him on the defensive line. He's right. They are very good.
We got a heads up on the dump out by Maddie there.
Yeah, thanks, Maddie. Mario was like, I think we got a net bomb incoming.
Yep. Mario and Tim are no longer ever to fill in again.
Yeah, right.
FCC fine just came across for $5,000.
No, we got the it worked, I think. I don't think anyone that was on the radio heard it. I don't know. Studio's worn down. We used to have like a bunch of Labatt crap hanging up on. They may have just scuffed it up, but yeah, we got a good amount of Labatt in here.
Yeah, when they're no longer sponsors of you guys, I'm gonna steal that light up and put it in my basement.
Well, they're gonna be sponsors with us forever, Mario. So it is a good light.
Or take the dry champagne.
You'd like the Kyle McCord chips.
Yeah.
They're hanging around.
They're just going to be busted open. And
yeah. Or the Steve and Jelly peanut butter and jelly chips. You need those.
The pretzels. They're...
Yeah, that'd be good. Like the peanut butter pretzels. Big it up. NIL one for him.
Like, you know how like you used to have the cheese dip?
Yeah, yep.
Where you would dip the pretzel sticks.
Yeah, that was like my favorite snack to bring. As like
do that with your and jelly dips.
Okay, yeah. I like it.
Peanut butter and jelly on one side. Someone's going to steal that now.
Yeah, Fran Brown undefeated against Clemson. Those Thursday injury reports are going to make him... It's going to be interesting because we'll talk to him...
Questionable question.
Yeah.
What's the show's Thursday nights, right?
Yeah, they come out Thursday night. So he'll come on Orange Nation Thursdays at 12:15. And I feel like Steve is usually pretty good about asking about the injury, or even Paulie, whoever will ask, and then he's usually pretty honest. But he now has the opportunity to fall back and be like, yeah, you'll find out tonight. Like... Although if it's going to come out...
So they have to release another one the day of the game?
They release it like 2 hours before. I think the way he phrased that, he was almost like, Thursday questionable, Friday questionable, Saturday you're fine. Like he might just... I mean, I don't know. I didn't look at the Clemson Georgia Tech injury report, but Antonio Williams is the big name for them right now that's been out, wide receiver. Yeah. So I'm sure they just put him as questionable, and then a couple hours before the game, I think it was announced... Sometimes you see like Pete Thamel or someone like that breaks it. Yeah. Yeah, you got to love his honesty, though. He's not going to beat around the bush with some of his answers.
We need more sacks.
Yeah. Need the rushers to rush and the droppers to drop.
ESPN 97.7 and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com.
This is Orange Nation.
Sim and Mario filling in for Steve and Paulie today on Orange Nation. We'll bring in Giovanni Heater in our next segment. Discuss what's been going on outside of the Syracuse world with today's business, but... Fran Brown's weekly press conference in the books. It included some curse words, some typical Fran answers. Mario, anything in particular stand out to you there?
Yeah, we talked about the defense and getting after the passer, and he agreed. Like, we need more sacks. What was the line that he used
The rusher's got to rush and the dropper's got to drop.
He even dropped some 50 Cent lyrics in there.
He did, yeah.
That's what stood out to me. His defensive line's got to get after the ball more, and especially against the Clemson team, he gave some flowers to Clemson's defensive line, and let's face it, like, it's a big challenge for Syracuse offensive line going up against a Clemson front four that is massive. Like, each guy on it's a 5-star or high 4-star.
They have two potential
NFL talent,
right?
Top
first round picks, maybe. Yeah.
So, they're gonna get after you, and can you score enough points is gonna be the main thing. As Fran said, all I gotta do is win a game by 1. I don't care how it looks.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting every time he's been asked a question about Steve Angeli or the offensive line. I mean, even just now he was asked about Steve and how much he's grown and where he's shown growth from week 1 to now going into week 4. And he said, well, he's not getting sacked now or something like that. And I just feel like you can kind of read between the lines, and the stats back this up, that it's more of an offensive line problem than a Steve Angeli problem. And we saw that on the field. When Steve has time, we saw it against Colgate. He can really throw it.
Because he can sling it, but you get hit 9 times in 2 games, you're going to be starting to see things or wanting to get the ball out of your hands maybe when you shouldn't.
Yeah.
And that leads to poor throws. That leads to turnovers. And if he's continuously going to be hit like that, it's going to be a long season for him, and maybe even a short season because he might be on the sidelines with an injury.
I am a little worried, speaking of injuries, now we got these Thursday night injury reports. That's league mandated. You got to drop something Thursday night. We didn't really get anything. He wasn't even asked about Demetrius Weatherspoon that I heard. That was the one I was kind of interested in about the most. And, he's just probably going to say these guys are questionable, and you'll find out Thursday night maybe going forward.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a lot. You're going to see it throughout the ACC until they literally have to say something, as you mentioned, what the timetable is a couple hours before the game that you got to release it 2 hours or so.
Yeah, it starts Thursday night, and even his answer, he was like, Thursday questionable, Friday questionable, then you'll find out before the game. So he has been, to his credit, very honest about injuries.
Yeah.
Maybe that won't continue, maybe it will continue, but now we have these injury reports, which the irony of that should make it clearer who is playing and who isn't.
Not going to until game time.
Yeah, probably will be my takeaway from that. Let's go back to the phone lines. We've got Drew in Syracuse. What's up, Drew?
What's up, Drew?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
I want to talk about the offensive line. I know they didn't give up a sack versus Colgate, but for God, they had so much pressure on Steve Angeli. And to be fair, it's not fair to Steve Angeli, like when he's under pressure all the time. And I know you guys talked about the blitz comes 54% of the time, or 55, whatever it was, but just your thoughts about that, because I think you're not seeing the real Steve Angeli until he can get some protection.
Yeah, I agree with you, Drew. I've really looked into the numbers as much as you can through 3 weeks now. And going into this game, he was getting pressured about 36% of the time, according to Pro Football Focus, which that's a number that you want to come down for sure. That's similar to what Tommy DeVito era was in terms of how often.
But let's be honest, this is an offensive line that had one starter coming back.
Exactly. And
and you can't make those excuses, though, in today's day and age of college football. They need time to gel together. They need time to gel together. Well, I guess I am making that excuse, a little bit of time, but as you have that time, you don't want to be seeing these same old mistakes happen over and over and over again. And then that's what you hope, because I don't think Clemson is going to have to, if you're looking at this game, they're going to have to scheme up, different blitz packages because of the front four that they have. I think they're going to be able to attack the rusher. Can Angeli, stand in and still deliver a strike, so to say, with only 4 guys rushing at you?
Yeah, and on the road, tough environment. I think that's still the biggest concern.
Or maybe
with the
he does.
team.
Maybe he sends 8 guys at him and says, "Hey, beat me with your arm."
Yeah, well, I feel like when they send an extra rusher, Syracuse has not been great at IDing that rusher, whether it's the running back.
Exactly. That's part offensive line problem, Drew, and that's part, running back problem. And last year you relied so heavily, and Jeff Nixon talked about it at will at times of like how he relied on LeQuint, because LeQuint was helping to call out the blitzes and the pickup schemes, and maybe that is not there to this point yet with a Will Nixon, with a Willis, and down the line. Maybe those guys are still trying to figure it out between the two pieces.
Yeah, I think the offensive line will get better. It's interesting how Byron Washington continues to be a topic in these press conferences. They want to see more of him, it seems like, and I don't know if that's the case on the road against Clemson. He's still a young guy, but they're still trying to figure out the right pieces and trying to grow, and the offensive line got a lot better as the season progressed last year as well. So we'll see how much they improve. We'll bring in Giovanni Heater to do today's business on the other side. This is Orange Nation on a Monday here on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio.
This is Orange.
I don't know yet about my Friday show. We'll see if I'm traveling. I got to figure out if I'm going down to Clemson or not. Still TBD. If not, we'll definitely have a show Friday. It would just be...
There's a golf course right next to the
nice one.
Field there.
Yeah.
Nice one, looks like.
Yeah, they usually have a pretty good golf team. There's really not much.
I didn't know that's where Anderson's like a good D2 program for like hoops.
Okay.
I didn't know that's where, like right outside of Clemson is
Really?
Anderson.
Yeah.
Is like, that's where Anderson.
There's not much there. I mean,
Nothing.
that's the issue.
Greenville.
Yeah, the
Greenville
team
did
usually.
have Topgolf.
Yeah, they do have a Topgolf, which is nice. The team usually stays in Greenville, and then just because you can go about it either way. I mean, with women's basketball, I've stayed on Clemson's campus, but then you have a long ride once you get in.
Yeah,
it's like, do you want to save the ride for game day?
Did you go to the what's the
that one
place?
bar? Oh, are you talking about the one that's like off campus?
It's like a red barn.
Yes,
type.
yeah. We went there back-to-back times with women's basketball.
Buddy. Good.
I am producer for Orange Nation. Yeah, T-Takes.
What the hell is that place called?
I can't remember the name of it, but it's the most southern.
Yes.
The owner comes out and he's like, it's good food, but there's like it's like a wedding venue almost. Like there's a dance floor too. Yeah, we've gone there.
But there's a big outdoor seating area. Like
I think we're thinking of the same place. It's kind of like tucked in the woods almost.
Yes,
like you're like, where are we going? And then you pull up on it.
And I also don't know who I went there with.
I've gone there twice, and I can't think of the name either. But it's always good food, good time.
Kate used to work at Spectrum. I went there with because she was her and I both shot the Clemson game.
Okay.
Yeah.
They have one bar that's pretty popular. That's on the corner of like their Marshall Street, kind of.
Where's this?
Clemson. Yeah. Have you been there?
There's two places in the ACC I never got to go. Clemson and BC.
Yeah,
which
you're
BC,
not missing BC.
You're not missing anything.
I mean, Boston is cool.
But Tech never played Clemson.
Around BC is cool.
Yeah.
Like
it's a nice campus. Just the environment of a game there is, you're not going to be like telling your grandkids about it. You might with Clemson.
Although I probably shot one of my best highlights at not at Clemson, at Boston College when Dungy ran over the safety and on his way into the end zone.
Yeah.
I got kicked out after the first quarter.
BC had a tough loss this week.
My pass was wrong. Really? I had a vest, like a shooting vest, and they made a huge
that happened
deal
to me last year at BC.
That my pass was wrong. And I'm like, listen, like they gave me a vest, like this is
I couldn't get on the freaking field.
You gotta go to the press box and get the right. It said like S or whatever.
Right.
So I literally had to go. The press box was on the complete opposite side, all the way at the top, and I had sprinted back down to the field. I lost like 6 minutes of filming. SU had just got the ball back, and I didn't have the camera on my shoulder for more than like 30 seconds, and Dungy like ran over the dude. I was like, thank God I didn't miss this.
At least you saw that. Yeah, that's funny. They were like all pissed off last year that I didn't have the right pass, and I couldn't get on the field for a little bit.
Talk shows on QSportsTalk.com. This is Orange Nation.
All Artist of the Day will return tomorrow, thankfully, to Orange Nation. Tim, Mario filling in for Steve and Polly today. And Giovanni Heater is in with us now for today's business. It's always brought to you by Superior Plus Propane. Gives us an opportunity to talk about other news around the sports world from the weekend. So what do you got for us, Gio?
Yeah, I heard you guys talking college football earlier, talking around the ACC, and I figured to start things out on today's business.
Throw in some Virginia Tech talk. It's coming.
Yeah, of course.
No.
I'm kidding you.
No.
The haters will be out when he does that.
Yeah. No, I figured we'd talk some ACC and continue that conversation a little bit. You guys had gotten into it, but I was curious your thoughts. Going into the season, I had picked it to be Clemson and Georgia Tech in the ACC championship. Florida State kind of comes out of nowhere. I see them as serious contenders now. Miami looked even better. I felt like Miami was going to be good, maybe just on the fringe. Could have easily been that team playing Clemson instead of Georgia Tech. Now it looks like Clemson's not in that conversation anymore. So who do you guys see playing down in Charlotte for the ACC title 3 weeks in here?
I would have to, if I had to predict right now, I'd have to say Miami, Georgia Tech. Two teams that hardly have been in the ACC championship game. I think Georgia Tech has not been since 2009. Miami has never won an ACC title. I feel like Miami has figured out their defense, which was such an issue last year. I feel good about Carson Beck, and there was a little bit of a concern how healthy would he look. So Miami's actually got game day this week against Florida. Doesn't really matter for the ACC championship, but that would be my pick, I think, right now. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree. I'm not counting out Clemson because I think they'll figure it out, but Georgia Tech has the tiebreaker over them now.
I mean, you're just looking at Georgia Tech's schedule. Realistically, they could be unbeaten going into the Georgia game, the last game of the year.
Yeah.
And
that doesn't matter for getting into the ACC
if you're
championship.
getting into the ACC championship game. I mean, they got Temple, Wake, awful. Virginia Tech, awful. Duke, Syracuse, NC State, Boston College, Pitt. They got no one. Syracuse is legitimately... Pitt just lost to West Virginia. I get it was the backyard brawl. I don't want to even go into that between you two because what Narduzzi is doing, I have no clue. But they don't play anyone.
Duke is one of their tougher games in Syracuse.
Forest is garbage, but I would have to say Florida State. I would say Florida State, and I wanted to pick Miami, but I can't trust Miami in big games. They've won a couple this year, I get it, but toward the end of the year, I can't trust them.
It almost feels different now, though. Because they finally got over the hump and won a big one. When they hosted Notre Dame.
They had Cam Ward last year in a 21-point lead against SU.
But the defense is so much more improved this year. The defense was the problem last year.
I understand it, though. I mean, Mario Cristobal is still Mario Cristobal. There's still concerns there.
Yeah.
I just think
I get that.
They have looked as good as anyone in the country right now. So if you're actually picking...
Who do you trust more? Do you trust Castellanos or do you trust Carson Beck?
Well, how do you trust Mike Norvell after seeing a 2-win season last year? Completely lost that locker room in the first moment of adversity.
I like what Tony White brings to the defense on the Florida State side.
Former Syracuse defensive coordinator.
SU defensive coordinator. But their schedule is, pretty much the same after... they have Miami, and Clemson in there, but Stanford, Virginia, none of these teams are jumping out at you, being So I have Florida State and Georgia Tech, and I still think Clemson's going to be there. Clemson's still going to be Clemson. They still have a great defense. I think that offense, once their pieces are fully healthy, as Tim mentioned, they're out with one of their wide receivers that legitimately is, one of the best wide receivers in the ACC when healthy. So, go from there.
I thought Louisville was going to have a shot to be in there, and I just don't think it's there.
Yeah. They just lost a key defensive player for the season, I saw.
Did they?
So I don't love Miller Moss.
Me neither.
I'm not all the way in on that. I think they've had better quarterbacks in previous years. So
okay, here's one for you. At the end of the year, how many ACC teams are we ranked?
I'm going to say
right now there's how many? Georgia Tech, Florida State, Miami. SMU is on the outside.
Counting. Sorry.
Okay. I'm trying to do it in my head as well. Clemson's no longer ranked. Notre Dame is kind of an ACC team, but not.
3 in Notre Dame.
Okay.
I'm going to say 2, but that doesn't count Notre Dame.
Okay.
I don't count Notre Dame as ACC for football.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, I agree with you guys. As far as pick, I'm going to go 3. Because I'm going to say Clemson finds a way to sneak back into that polls, even if they're 8-4.
Also, by the way, like this could go along with today's business. Notre Dame, first 0-2 team to be ranked since 1988. It's like there's two sides of that coin. Like everyone's saying, like, oh, you're ranking a logo. But I also agree after seeing them lose to two top 10 teams.
There's not, like, if you watch the games, you're not like, that's not a top 25 team in the country.
Right. There's not 25 teams that are beating Notre Dame.
Yes.
So I actually agree with the ranking in that sense, even though they're 0-2. If I'm going to pick 2 teams to play in Charlotte right now, I got to stick with Georgia Tech. I picked them preseason, and I'll sub Miami in. I think you got to see a little more out of Florida State. It was awesome what they did to Alabama. I think they're going to be serious contenders. I'm going to ride with Miami because they've looked really impressive so far.
I know this is your today's business, and I keep stealing your segment.
I know. I was going to bring up a topic for him, too, as well. I want to make you talk Virginia Tech, but you go first.
Say SU wins this game this week.
Yeah.
Where do you put them into the mix?
The problem is the difficulty of the schedule.
The problem is then you still have to play Notre Dame, Miami. SMU.
I mean, forget Notre Dame because that doesn't matter for the ACC. But you still got to play Georgia Tech on the road. You still got to play Miami on the road. I think Cuse could go win at SMU. Like, SMU hasn't been super impressive.
I think the schedule has gotten easier than what we thought, right? And that usually happens.
That usually happens throughout the year. You don't know what you're going to get, especially in the transfer.
And what's wrong with Duke now?
Yeah.
I was super high on Duke. I thought they upgraded at quarterback. The defense was so good last year. And then, the Illinois game, whatever.
Yeah,
because I think Illinois is going to the playoff, But like you got to beat Tulane. You have to beat Tulane.
They were underdogs in that game, though. I'm with you. I think Duke, their defense should be better than what it is. But I said
Syracuse picks up a win this week. You got to be like,
they might be ranked.
Okay,
if you're 3-1 coming off a Clemson win, you're definitely getting votes. I would say.
Yeah, with your one loss being to Tennessee, are they still ranked?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Tennessee is 15th.
They had that game.
Oh, wow.
won.
They didn't move even though they lost?
That's kind of how it should be, though, because they had that game until the kicker.
That poor kid, I texted my group chat, as he's doing the practice kicks, I was like, oh my God, this poor kid's going to miss the kick. He looks so I've never seen somebody look that nervous. I'd be shaking.
Unlike the Georgia Tech kicker, who looked calm and cool as collected.
That was incredible.
Drills a 55-yarder. Yeah. That was good from about 65.
When it was a fire drill situation as well. All right, Gio, you don't have to talk Virginia Tech because we have to do a timeout. So you're off the hook.
I was actually looking forward to talking about Brent Pry.
Well, maybe on the other side. We can sneak in a little.
$6 million coming his way. I'd like $6 million coming my way to be 16 and
just
24.
To not show up to work.
Listen, I was like 3-19 as a hockey coach. If that counts for anything, they didn't pay me anything to go away.
That's the best Ed Orgeron quote ever. He said, I walked into work one day and they said, Ed, we can't do this anymore. We got to let you go. And he said, how much you paying me? And they said, it's going to be about $16 million left on your contract. He said, what door you want me out of and what time you want me gone?
Exactly. I figured you were going to give us a Coach O impersonation. It delivered. All right, we're back after this on Orange Nation.
The Rich Eisen Show.
You can't do Coach O and not at least go into the gravelly voice.
He was coming back to coach Syracuse.
Oh, yeah. He apparently, was somewhat interested, right? I mean, who knows?
Remember they said Dan Mullen? Now Virginia Tech fans want Dan Mullen.
Oh, really? No, but I mean,
Is UNLV any good this year? Isn't that where it's at?
That's who they're undefeated.
But they're
to go to the playoff out of the group of five.
I don't think they're anything crazy good though. They're worse than last year, probably.
They just got by UCLA.
Yeah, UCLA's terrible. They're legitimately going to go 0-12, I think.
They might. They probably will.
They play at Northwestern, I think, either this week or next week, and they have to win that.
That's a great time.
Yeah, Windy City, right by the water. I know you probably are don't even want to talk about Virginia Tech, but it's crazy to me. They're kind of following the Syracuse trajectory. They had these great years under Beamer, and now it's how do you find
that next coach after?
Yeah.
The problem is going to be too, and we were talking about this with my friends there.
They still show up and pack it. Like, there's not an empty seat for these games. But that ODU game, they still packed it at the beginning. First touchdown ODU. I mean, they were down 31-0 to Old Dominion.
Yeah.
I
saw they had allowed like 62 unanswered in the last 2 games combined.
How do you do that? Like,
yeah.
You're Virginia Tech. I saw a video, and my friends were all talking, when they showed Brent Pry, because at their games, they, like, each player, like, kind of like Sunday Night Football, his headshot pops up on the screen, and it's like Kyron Drones, quarterback, and then Brent Pry's at the end. They booed him and Kyron Drones so bad. Like, you couldn't hear Brent Pry say, like, Brent Pry, because they were booing so loud. And, like, every snap of the game, like, people showed up to boo. Like, they were like, we're going to sell out the stadium just to get our point across that we want him gone. They were chanting fire.
So who really, like, if you had to name 3 guys right now that you could see them being interested in, or, I mean Bob Chesney, maybe?
Yeah, I would love to see him go after, like, Alex Golish.
Who's that? I don't even know.
He's the guy at USF.
The USF guy.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be hot.
I'd like to see them go after Dan Mullen. I think Golish will get poached by somebody bigger than Virginia Tech.
Florida might poach him.
The thing that's so infuriating is people that, like, don't understand how this works, or, like, Virginia Tech fans are like, let's go get Shane Beamer. That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And then other people are like, let's go get Michael Vick. And we just saw a disaster with a first-time head coach. You really think we want Michael Vick?
You go to the Vic if you're, like, really desperate, I'd say. Like, I guess they are kind of desperate now, but
I get
that's just such a risk.
The Deion Sanders thing, but, like, that just feels like a disaster.
How's that working out for Colorado, by the way, right now?
Yeah, they don't look great this year.
This is going to have to be super short. Don't you have to be out at, like, 1:55?
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to go a little over. Yeah. Yeah, we don't even have to pick an artist of the day, so we'll come back. I don't know, we can talk about Virginia Tech for like 2 minutes. And,
yeah, I'll keep it.
Yeah.
I'm sure the last thing. But it's a running joke. Like, I hosted a podcast down there, and anytime Syracuse came up, like, Andy Bitter, who's like a head writer there, he worked for Tech Sideline, and, like, he was on the podcast and stuff. He would, like, purposefully bring them up because people when Syracuse came up in the comments would just get, like, so mad at me, right? And then so last night, Andy mentioned Syracuse like 2 minutes into the podcast, and he literally says, he's like, that one was for Gio. And and he's like, he had to cover the whole Brent Pry era while he was here. And then so I commented, and I was like, basically making fun of everybody that comments. What did I say?
Like, you can't use the excuse of, like, I mean, that's a good area to recruit out of.
Yeah. I do think, we can talk about it when we get back. I mean, should they have been as successful of a program as they once were? Like, it's a...
Okay, on the flip side, you could say on the flip side, same thing with SU basketball.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, there's some...
coach that...
Yeah.
There's some parallels, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. The crazy thing is...
Yeah.
100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com.
This is Orange Nation.
Final segment on the show this afternoon. Steve and Paulie should be back tomorrow to argue with one another, and we'll get their thoughts on the win over Colgate. Tim Leonard, Mario Sacco, Giovanni Heater also in studio with us. And we didn't get to talk about Virginia Tech. There were 2 big coaching firings over the weekend. UCLA, Deshaun Foster is out after an 0-3 start. Virginia Tech gets clobbered by Old Dominion at home. They're now 0-3. They're moving on from Brent Pry. And we were talking about during the break, Gio, I wonder, there's just to me a little bit of parallels between Virginia Tech and Syracuse and the trajectory of the football programs, because Virginia Tech's in an area that maybe shouldn't have been as good of a football program for as long as it was, and Frank Beamer was their coach. And, I mean, you got to give it to them. They were consistently very good for a number of years. They've struggled to find the next guy since Frank Beamer left, and it's in a good recruiting area. They draw well, but it's not necessarily like on paper that would be a blue blood school if we were just going off of locations. So what are your thoughts on where Virginia Tech goes from here, I guess?
Yeah, they're at rock bottom. There's no question about that. The last guy they let go, and the guy that they just fired, Brent Pry. So they fired Justin Fuente, right? Brent Pry comes in. They essentially fired Justin Fuente for Brent Pry's best. And you start 0-3 this year. I think where you draw the parallels of Syracuse and Virginia Tech is like the fact of the fan base's anger turning into, hopefully not, but possibly apathy. And I think that's what happened here in Syracuse. I hear these stories of when my dad was growing up in the 90s and whatnot. The dome's packed, right? There's not an empty seat, rocking atmosphere, whatnot. As much as I loved growing up going to SU football games, like it's my happy place. I love it.
You were seeing 25, 30,000.
I was not. Yeah, exactly. Like, there were a lot of empty seats when I was growing up. And that's what happened, right? Because you go through the Greg Robinson era and you do so much losing, people stop showing up. And, that anger turns into, we don't care. And now you got to beg people to come to the Dome even when they are doing good. And so I think if you're Virginia Tech, that's what you're in desperate fear of, because it is an unbelievable fan base. I mean, Brent Pry's first year, they win 3 games. They're playing Georgia Tech, who had won 4 games. It's pouring rain, and I was in awe that there wasn't an empty seat. And I was like, this is just different.
And I made the parallel to SU basketball of like, for so many years, you got accustomed under Beamer to winning games, being a great team. Syracuse basketball fan base under Jim Boeheim. And now you're searching and you're hoping Adrian turns it around this year, but that's what you're looking for at Virginia Tech. You're hoping that next guy is finally going to be that next guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, we could talk about it forever. We got to go. But I just feel like once your program slips, then it's very tough to get back to the top. Yep. We've seen that at Syracuse. So, all right. Well,
thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thanks
for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
That'll wrap things for today. Stephen Pauly should be back tomorrow. I'll be on at 5 for drive time. And thanks to everyone for following along in the Q Sports Talk chat. We'll talk to you next time on Orange Nation.
You took care of